Hey guys, Mike from VentureCast here, and the weekend is upon us. Yes, it is Friday. Another week in the books, and I thought this would be a good opportunity to do kind of a movie review for a change. Not really a movie review, more of a documentary review. And, in case you didn't know, Netflix put out a cruise related documentary earlier this week. I believe it was on Wednesday, and it's in regards to the Amy Bradley missing persons case. Now, if you're a true crime junkie, you've probably heard of this case. It's been out for quite a while. There's tons of podcasts out. There's a documentary. It was covered on America's Most Wanted, Unsolved Mysteries, and the Dr. Phil Show. And before I get too deep into the discussion, let's go ahead and check out the trailer. Hey guys, I know I promised you a trailer, and I did include it in the original video that I uploaded, but Netflix did not like me using that trailer in my video, so I got a little notification from YouTube. So sorry about that, folks. I had to cut that out, so I apologize. I'll do better next time, but let's go ahead and get back to the video. All right, that is the trailer for the documentary from Netflix that I was talking about. And like I was saying, it revolves around the case of Amy Bradley, which is a missing persons case. And she was on a cruise on the Royal Caribbean Rhapsody of the Seas with her family. You know, her mother, her father, and her younger brother. She was 23 years old from the Virginia area. She just recently graduated from college, just got an apartment, was about to be starting a new job. So this was kind of like, one big family vacation before she was going to start her new life. And so she was excited, the whole family was excited. And so they go on the cruise, and, it was, I think they were about 2 or 3 days into the cruise, and there was a particular night where she had went to the one of the nightclubs on the ship with her brother, and they were all dancing, having drinks, just having a really good time. And she got back to the cabin somewhere around 3:30 in the morning. She was hanging out on the balcony with her brother, just having a good conversation, laughing. Well, he went to bed, left her out there. And then the last time anybody saw her was around 5:30 that morning. Her father, I guess, had woken up and had looked out on the balcony, and he could see her legs on the balcony, so he knew she was there. Well, he goes back to sleep, and then right around 6 o'clock or so in the morning, he wakes up and she was gone. The balcony door was open. Her shoes were still on the balcony, but she was nowhere to be found. And so the father, he leaves the cabin to go look for her. I guess he was thinking maybe she went to go grab some breakfast, or maybe watch the sunrise, because they were pulling into Curacao that morning. So they were about to be docking, and of course, everybody was going to be enjoying the port. So he does look around, he can't find her anywhere. So he comes back to the cabin, tells the family, they hadn't seen her either. So then that's when they notify the ship. They go to guest services, and they tell what's going on. But at the same time this is going on, the ship is going pierside in Curacao, and they're about to put the gangway down to go, let passengers off. And so the family is requesting that they page her, that they, shut the gangway down, don't let people off the cruise ship, and do a search, and all that. And so initially the crew, they're kind of resistant to do any pages. Because I guess because of the early morning hours, they didn't want to disturb all the guests, and so they say, "Hey, why don't y'all go take another look around? and if you don't find her, we'll page her, and then all of that. So they do one more quick search on their own. They don't find her, and then the crew basically, or the captain basically says, "Hey, go back to your cabin. We'll conduct a search." They paged her, and according to the cruise line, they say that they did pretty much a top to bottom, covered every inch of the ship, and they didn't find her. And also at the same time, they do the Coast Guard is notified, and the Coast Guard is conducting a search in the area to see, because the cruise line they're kind of under the belief that she probably fell or jumped from the balcony into the water. So that's why the Coast Guard is notified. They conduct a pretty huge search, and they don't recover a body or anything. Nothing washes up on the shore. And so at the end of the day, pretty much the cruise line stance is, well, she probably left the ship. She's probably out on the town, and so you guys go search for her, and that's what happens. And so ultimately, the FBI gets involved. They do come to the ship. They process the cabin as a crime scene and looking for clues. They interview crew members, passengers. They do kind of come up with some leads. Some people say that she spent a lot of time with a certain crew member, a band member that was on board. There were eyewitnesses that say they saw her with the band member, like right around 6 o'clock in the morning or so. But again, they interview that person, give them a lie detector, and there's just nothing there, And so basically that's the whole mystery is, what happened to Amy Bradley? Did she fall off her balcony? Did she jump, or did she meet up with somebody and then they smuggle her off the ship and involve her in some sort of human trafficking situation? And like I said, that happened back in 1998, and to this day she has not been found. There's been no contact from her. There have been a ton of sightings over the years, a lot of clues, people calling in, sending photographs. At one point, someone sent some photographs in, and the FBI had some sort of forensic expert look at those photographs and determine that it was likely that those were photographs of Amy. So that's, like I said, that's the big mystery: is she alive? Did she fall overboard? But back to the documentary. It's a 3-part series, and each episode is about 45 minutes, but it's really interesting, and especially if you're somebody that's gone on a lot of cruises, it's really interesting to see how this plays out. They interviewed the current cruise director that was on board at that time, and I believe they talked to the hotel manager or guest services manager that was on board at the time. They have a bunch of the passengers that were on board. So really, really interesting, and it's a good look. It's an interesting look back at the way cruise ships operated back then versus today. So yeah, I had seen another documentary about this because I've kind of followed the case a little bit, and so to compare it to that one, I think this one's more complete. There's a lot more people that we hadn't heard from before, a lot more interviews of guests that we didn't hear from before. But at the end of the day, it still doesn't answer the question, what happened to Amy Bradley? I mean, there's a you could go many different ways with it. There's evidence to support whichever theory you want to go with. So yeah, it's a pretty interesting documentary, pretty entertaining. It's, like I said, 3 parts, 45 minutes each, but the pacing and the flow kind of keeps you interested, and before you know it, I mean, you pretty much blow through those 3 episodes. So that's my kind of just very light review of it. Didn't try to give away too much, but I mean, it's a case that's been talked about for years. So, you know, that's my recommendations for the weekend. If you don't have anything going on and you got a Netflix subscription and you want to check something out, it'll entertain you for a couple of hours. But yeah, let me know in the comments what you think. Have you heard about this case before? Have you seen the Netflix documentary? Do you have a theory on what happened? Let me know. But other than that, I think that's going to do it for today's video. As always, if you like this video, consider hitting the thumbs up on the way out. If you like this kind of content, please consider subscribing. It's 100% free, helps the channel grow, and helps push the message out to the masses. And as always, I appreciate anybody that likes, watches, subscribes, shares, comments. But yeah, I hope you guys have a great weekend, and I will see you on the next video. Take care, everybody.